So a few weeks ago, Rhett Shull did a great video on the Soldano 100 amp, and that got me interested in exploring that amp model on the quad Cortex. And as I started digging into it, I kind of found myself naturally looking at how Eric Clapton used those amps, in the 80s and 90s. And one of the first guitar solos I ever learned was for Forever Man. And I'm a big fan of Clapton overall, and I even like, that era. So it became natural for me to create a preset that was modeled after some of Clapton's tones in that era. And so it's a pretty simple preset. What I've got here is I've got two Soldano models running. I've got a crunch one, gains on about 6.5, nothing crazy on the EQ. Master is pretty cranked and a good amount of presence. And then I've got a lead model. Gain's pretty low, 1.7. Again, the EQs isn't anything extraordinary. Master is cranked. And then the presence, again, is pretty high. For a cabinet, I'm using the Mesa 4x12. I am running a high cut. The frequency is not set really low. I'm not trying to go into that kind of Eric Johnson-y kind of tone on this. But I like, especially with a Soldano amp, without it, you start to get what to me kind of sounds like an unnatural treble in the very, very top end. So I find this kind of high cut helps make it sound to me more like a regular amp. I've got a little bit of compression on the back end just to try to kind of recreate a little bit of sag and just, again, tame the amps a little bit. So we're running a CE2 chorus here, which is a pedal that Clapton was known to have used in the era. Again, it's the mix is pretty high just because generally this chorus isn't very present, at least in this type setting. So you can hear the chorus, but it's nothing super kind of in your face. I have the looper in here just because I was playing around with it. For delay, I'm running a digital delay. Delay time is not super long. In my kind of exploration, Clapton wasn't big in kind of big long delays. And then I've got a plateless reverb on the end, again, just to felt the ambience. But one of the real interesting thing is I've got this graphic EQ right at the beginning of the preset, and I'm cranking up the 500 hertz frequency. As you may know, in Clapton's Fender Strat, in his artist signature Strat, he's got an onboard mid boost that's centered around that 500 hertz frequency. And so I'm kind of using this EQ to mimic that a little bit. So, a little bit on the 250 and the 1K and the 2K just to kind of make it some of a round EQ curve, but really it's pushing that 500 hertz. And let's go through. There's really only 4 tones here. So I've got the stomp set up. Stomp E lets you switch between the amps. A turns that EQ on and off. I will also mention that I'm boosting the output just to give it, again, that mid boost is not only boosting the frequencies, but it's boosting the signal of the guitar. You can turn the chorus on and off, and then H is for the looper if you want to use it. So let's check out how the preset sounds. We'll start just on the Soldano Crunch model, and we've got the mid boost off, and I'm using a Strat style guitar, and I'll start on the neck pickup. Let's try 4th position. And let's do the mid boost. I'll go back to we'll try the middle position here, which is a very kind of Clapton-y thing. So without the mid. So let's check out the lead. Kick in the mid. So you can hear when you kick in the mid boost on that lead channel, it gets really thick. I also noticed you can hear the chorus a little bit more. Otherwise, the chorus is pretty unobtrusive. Anyway, this preset will be on my Neural account. Feel free to grab it, download it, play with it, and I hope you enjoy it.